Hi, this is Jana Jackson from Nashville, Tennessee, the Nashville chapter, and you're listening to White Canes Connect.
Hey there, PA Federationists. Welcome to another episode of White Canes Connect, presented by the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. My name is David Goldstein. I am the treasurer of the Keystone Chapter. Joining me today as co-host and Keystone Chapter's second vice president, Lisa Bryant. Lisa, how are you today?
I am great, David, and so great talking to Jana Jackson. Some people may remember that name. She performed last year in the Believe You Can talent show, and she is again performing in Dancing Dots Believe You Can 2022. She's a wonderful personality, very joyful, very bubbly, a lot of energy, very, very talented. So we talked to her about her music, the wonderful places and people that her music has exposed her to.
And she really does have a lot of things going on between her music, a travel agency that she runs, as well as starting a 501c3. She talks about all of them and all of the people that she's trying to help. Let's take a listen. Jana, thanks so much for being with us today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Jana, it's so funny. I was thinking earlier, I probably, other than having looked at your website, I probably wouldn't know you if I passed you on the street, but you've become such a dear friend to me and to the Keystone chapter. It just seems like we've always known each other. So it's really a joy to be able to sit down and talk with you on White Canes Connect.
Oh, I'm so excited. I'm truly honored, Lisa. Thank you so much.
Well, the honor is ours. Why don't you? We have so much to talk about. You have so many kind of irons in the fire, and you're so multi-talented. But let's start with, who is Jana Jackson? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself? We know you're from Tennessee. And then how did you get into this amazing music career? Did you find music? Did music find you? Tell us that.
Okay, well, yes, you are right. I grew up in the Nashville area of Tennessee. And I am a church girl. I tell everybody that I'm a church girl. And basically, I grew up. My dad was a pastor, so I'm a PK too, a preacher's.
Uh-huh.
And I turned out okay in spite of that. There's bad things about PKs. We're not all bad.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
few of us that
Yeah.
are really good. We try to be anyway. So,
Hmm.
but my dad pastored a church. Well, when I was first born, he was over the youth ministries of the Assemblies of God in Tennessee. And then he pastored a church in Hendersonville, where I grew up, that's right outside of Nashville, from the time I was about 3, almost 4, until I was almost 13. And at that time, he became the district superintendent for the Assemblies of God in Tennessee. And at that time, we started traveling like every weekend. We were going somewhere different, either in or out of the state, actually. And it ended up opening a whole bunch of doors, not only for him but for me, because he wanted me to be his singer, and I was just a little girl, was doing all this. And we went in the summer. He would do these camp meeting, they called them camp meetings, family camps. And we would go to
Hmm.
all these different states, and I would sing every night, and all of that. So music kind of found me. I started singing when I was 3 at my grandpa's church.
Hmm.
He gave me a microphone, and I just stood up there and sang my little heart out, and that how it started. And so I've always loved music. I've always loved to listen to it. When contemporary Christian music came on the scene, I was blessed to grow up in the early days of all that. So I got to see the metamorphosis of when, we had nothing cool to listen to all of a sudden,
Hmm.
late
Hmm.
70s, there's all this cool music, that I was like, oh wow, I can listen to the same kind of stuff that my friends are listening to,
Yeah.
and so I started doing listening to all of that, and I guess I was about, let's see, I recorded my first album when I was 18.
I
Um,
saw that. Tell
yeah,
us how that came about. Like, how did that door open?
so my best friend growing up, her dad was a recording engineer. And they're the folks that sit behind, they make everything
Hmm.
happen. They do all the recording, all the pushing
Hmm.
buttons and making sure you sound good. And he
Hmm.
was a recording engineer for some of the top artists of the day in both Christian and like pop and country music, anybody that recorded in Nashville. And so he
Hmm.
just really believed in my talent and wanted to do that for me. So he kind of recorded and produced the album for me, and got
Wow.
some A-list players, for back then. That I mean, some of the top players in Nashville worked on that, and top background vocalists and everything. And so I was
Hmm.
just in awe. I was meeting with these folks to arrange with the keyboard player, especially. I remember meeting with him, and his name was Dave Huntsinger, and he was real well known back then. And I was like, man, I'm meeting with stars here, and I was
Wow.
just,
Yeah.
so it's a wonderful experience.
And
So
it's so funny how it just takes one person to really believe in you and just want to see you succeed. Because it sounds like that was the beginning of a lot of other opportunities. What happened after that the release of that first album?
So I did it really was. I began singing at sometimes I did concerts on my own, and then
Hmm.
sometimes, of course, I still traveled with mom and dad. And then I started attending Belmont University. Now it's called Belmont University. Back then it was Belmont College, and that's here in Nashville. And they've always been known for their music program. So
Okay.
back then they had what they called commercial music vocal performance, and I had never heard of such a thing. I thought I would only be able to sing traditional music in a music program. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is where I want to go. And
Hmm.
and I loved it, and several great opportunities came out of that, of just being able to do so many things within that music department. And I got to sing at a lot of churches that I wouldn't probably have gotten to. That was, of course, my main
Hmm.
focus was Christian music, but I also learned how to sing other things, jazz and pop and country. And because you can't live in Nashville without knowing how to sing a little country. And so I did. I think it was during that time that I started realizing how much I loved like soul music and
Hmm.
that kind of thing. And so I'm a little, for yeah, your audience for the most part cannot see me even if we were on video, but I'm a little white girl. But I tell people all the time that I think I'm really black, and nobody ever bothered to tell me because I've been blind since birth. So how do I really know, right? I could be purple for all I know. so
Well, it just goes to show that it's not the skin color, it's the heart.
it is. Oh my
Mhm.
goodness, it so is. And so yeah, I kind of credit Belmont with just learning about so many different kinds of music, and finding out who I was, beginning to find out anyway who I was and was not as an
Yeah.
artist. And I've never really fit into a particular mold. It's been hard, and yet it's been a blessing. But beyond that, after I left Belmont, I started traveling right away on my own. My very first solo tour was to the Maritimes in Canada. I've been really praying for those folks because I know they've been dealing with a lot of
Hmm.
bad weather this week. And that was my first solo tour. I traveled all by myself from Nashville, to Canada, So flew by myself, everything, and was gone for a whole month. And that was a lot for a little 22-year-old blind chick that
Yeah.
wasn't real
Yeah.
familiar with traveling around by herself.
And did you have any trepidation with that, or were you just young and fearless?
I was fearless. I was fearless.
Hmm.
Now I would be a little bit more nervous because now I know more about the world. But back then I was just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah, I'm going to yeah. So yeah, I thought I was big and bad because when you're supposed
Hmm.
to know everything, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So
What were your parents thinking?
my parents were terrified.
It just shows your independence. One of the things that we like to do with this podcast is show that there are blind folks
Hmm.
that get out and do things. You don't have to sit on your couch all day long and just
Right.
listen to music. You can go to a concert, or if you're good at music like you are, not like I am, you can you can go places and do it. You don't have to be afraid. Sometimes I know I go places and I get off the train and I'm like, "Oh my God, what am I doing here?"
Well, now I
Okay,
do
got to figure
that
it out.
sometimes now. Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, okay, Lord, why on earth am I doing this? But yeah, and I think some of that, I mean, I was just I don't know. Mom and dad were terrified. I mean, they were like, I can't believe we're sending her off to do all this. But I think, they created a monster really because they taught me growing up that I could basically do whatever I wanted,
Hmm.
that I had the capabilities, I had the mental, the IQ, I had
Hmm.
everything that I needed, that I was gifted. God had blessed me with gifts and it was up to me to decide what to do with them. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so I think I scared them an awful lot when I became an adult and they were like, oh my word, what have we done? Because I didn't feel like there was anything. I still really don't feel like that. The challenges are more, they get harder as we get older, I think, a lot of times. But I still am always looking for a workaround for something.
I noticed that you said that you don't look at your blindness as so much of a disability, but what did tell us what you call it?
I call it a technical difficulty.
I love that. I
Yeah.
love that.
Back in the day, you used to get you don't hear it much anymore, but you used to get this little message when the audio would stop on the TV and the video,
Hmm.
we're having this, so
Hmm.
we're having technical difficulties. So we'll be right back. Just wait and we'll be right back. So a technical difficulty is something we all have them. I just have one that
Yeah.
shows a little more, and
Right.
but we all
Right.
have them, and some of them they're all just temporary, no matter which way you look
Hmm.
at it. And so
And and all of them have a workaround.
they do. They
Hmm.
really do. Yeah, you can find it, and some of them just need a workaround. Like if you have a technical difficulty that means that you lose your temper a lot, oh honey, you better fix that real quick.
Yeah, you're not going to go too far with that.
No, no.
So back to these wonderful opportunities that you've had.
Yeah,
Let's do some name dropping because I know you have some national kind of exposure. Tell us about some of the
yeah.
people and places that you've managed to work with.
Well, one of the coolest things that I did, it happened when I was about, let's see, I was about 26, and I had joined a church in the area called Christ Church. And
Hmm.
it still is a big church, and the choir is very well known across the country, the Christ Church Choir. And I sang with them from, let's see, that was in 1990 until I
Hmm.
believe 2000. So for about 10 years, I sang with them, and through them, especially, I had just some wonderful opportunities to like participate with different Christian music things. We did things like the Country Music Awards, even.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
did the Dove Awards, which is the Christian music big awards. It's
Yeah.
like the Christian Music Grammys. Um, we
Hmm.
went to the Ukraine 3 times.
Hmm.
Let's see. I mean, there was just all kinds of things that we ended up doing. We were on the one of the best known Christian music writers is Bill Gaither from just forever
Hmm.
ago.
Hmm.
And he had this convention every year in Indianapolis called Praise Gathering. And it was just the coolest thing. You had all different styles of Christian music all in one place, and all these
Hmm.
speakers, and all these college choirs that would come. And it was so much fun. And we were like the host choir. We were there as an artist, I guess you could say, for that. And got to sing on several recordings. There was a guy named Carmen who was very,
Oh
you
yeah.
remember
Uh-huh.
Carmen? Oh my
I
word.
did. He passed away, unfortunately, right? Didn't he pass
Yeah.
away maybe a couple of years ago, I think?
Yeah, I was so
Hmm.
sad to hear that. And he had fought that so hard and everything. Well,
Yeah.
back in the day, I mean, he was the thing, back in the
Hmm. Hmm.
90s and everything. So we sang on one of his albums. Got to sing on that. That was a lot of
Wow.
fun. I had a guide dog at the time, and he took a real shine to her. Everybody did, but he just wanted to take her home with him. I was like, no, you can't have her.
No, I need her.
Thunder, yeah, you can't have Thunder. Um, love you, but not that much. Um, but yeah, so there were just all kinds of things that helped my music career. I My solo career began to develop at that same time, and I was traveling really extensively across the
Mhm.
country, singing in churches large and small, and did some motivational events. As the years went by. In the early 2000s, I had left the choir by then, but I was starting to do a few disability related motivational events, where I would maybe,
Mhm.
sometimes they'll let you do one song like you're used to doing, and then one kind of motivational, positive, just a good song. And so I would
Mhm.
do things like that, and that was a lot of fun. And so yeah, I'm not what you would consider famous or anything like that, but I've been very blessed, and I've
Yeah.
had a lot of neat opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. What's upcoming for you, musically speaking, that is? Aside from the talent show, which we'll talk about at the end, but are
Yes.
you working on any recordings now?
Well, I'm trying to. I am.
Mhm.
I was supposed to record with. There's a guy named Todd Delaney. He's a very well known in the gospel side of things,
Mhm.
um, and he had a deal where he was letting artists record virtually. They've paused it right now, but I'm set to record a song with them as soon as they open that back up. And it's just a really neat opportunity, so I'm hoping to do that. I guess the most recent thing that I've done that was, as far as recording wise, was that I recorded a song a few years ago now that I actually wrote, and it's called Amazing. And
Mhm. Mhm.
that was the first song. It's the only song I've ever really written and recorded and everything. I've got a lot of ideas. I've got a lot of ideas for songs and everything.
I was wondering about that, Jenna. I was wondering, do you also write your materials?
For the most part, have not, but I believe that's
Mhm.
something that is opening up, because I think there's a lot inside of me that wants to
Mm.
come out. It wants to
Mhm.
be,
Mhm.
so yeah, I do want to write more.
And the music and the singing, as much as it sounds like it gives you great joy, and you're so good because, as I mentioned, you were in our virtual talent show last year. We're so delighted and honored that you'll be back this year. But that's only one part of the Janet Jackson story. You've got other things that you do. Tell us about being a travel agent. And I think you have a nonprofit, but it's not officially a nonprofit, that you want to kind of blow it up to be a real, like, um, legitimate 501(c), I think. Am I right about that?
That's correct. Yeah. So I'll tell you about Jjm Travel first. That's my travel agency, and I run it from my home office.
Hmm.
So that's great. I don't have to worry about transportation, and work kind of starts and ends when I need it to.
Hmm.
I can work till midnight if I need to. And so I really want to eventually do some. I've always loved gospel choirs. I love the feeling that you get, and the just all of that, and it's always they've always touched me in a special way. So I want to put together what I'm calling the gospel choir experience, and
Hmm.
it involves like taking local choirs, maybe one or two, maybe three at the most, and we invite them and their people to a special, their fans, if you will, to an all-inclusive resort in the Caribbean.
Mhm.
And we have a few days there, kind of fun for the whole family. But we I don't want to overload, but we have a couple of concerts, and then the last day, the last full day that we're there, we have like a special time on the beach that is a mass choir, kind of a concert slash worship
Mhm.
time, and someone to speak, and it's just kind of a special time. I feel like it's really needed right now, as
Mhm.
we begin to get back
Mhm.
into travel. And so that's
Right.
one of my dreams. Right now, I handle, I do focus on music related trips as much as I can. And
Okay.
I believe there's a song for everyone. Music is so healing, and I believe in the healing power of
Mhm.
that. And so of course, will plan trips to anywhere, but I love to plan trips to musical destinations like my hometown of Nashville, Tennessee. I can hook you up
Mhm.
with all kinds of stuff here, and even the music of New Orleans. Like, people might want to take a riverboat cruise and study the blues and the Delta, the stuff going down the Mississippi River, and all of
Mhm.
that. And there's just so many neat places like in the world. Your classical music fans in Europe, can find so much.
When did you launch the travel agency, and how did it come about? Like, how did you decide that you wanted to combine traveling and music?
So I had always loved traveling, and I used to make my
Mhm.
own travel arrangements. People would tell me when they needed me to be there, and I would go online. And this was when it was really hard sometimes. The accessibility just wasn't always there at all, but I
Yeah.
don't even know how I did it,
Mhm.
but I I would make it happen. And so I knew I loved doing that. And then I'll tell you what got me into it was someone approached me about a network marketing travel agency. They were like, you can learn how to do the travel part, but you can make money by building a team and doing it that way. And then you've got
Mhm.
travel agents working under you, and it can be a lot of
Mhm.
fun. So I did that for a while, and I just felt like I was trying to chase too many rabbits. I
Yeah.
was like, I can't build a team and focus on what I really want to do, which is book travel, help people have a good time.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
So
all MLMs seem like it's equally balanced. Whatever the product is, you've
yeah,
got to push that, but you've also got to continually rope in more people
yeah,
to help you out. Yeah.
exactly. And I didn't like that aspect of it. So I just decided to go through a what they call a host agency, which basically means I'm an independent travel agent, and my agency is underneath a big umbrella, which is the host agency, and that allows me to give people the same um, tours, the same trips, the same offers as your bigger agencies can. But I'm
Mhm.
just me. I'm just doing it on my own terms. And, I get a certain amount of the commission. It's a commission split between me and the host agency, but
Mhm.
it works for me. And I've never looked back.
And this is since when?
Oh, this was in 2014 when I did that. I
Okay.
started dabbling
Okay.
in it in 2010, and then I went into
Mhm.
it in 2014. And I've been with my current host agency. I switched to them in 2020, right at the beginning of the pandemic. I made the switch.
Uh,
Wow. Let's just back up for a second. You mentioned the gospel event in the Caribbean. Were you going from one island to the next each year, or was it the same, returning to the same island?
I haven't thought through that exactly yet, but what I'm thinking is we will have a couple of resorts that we know are going to work well for us. I'm going to do a little bit of
Mhm.
research and maybe get to take a couple of well-needed trips.
Well, you got to do your research, right? I mean,
That's right. That's right.
you
And
got
I
to do
can't
your
see the
homework.
pictures. I can't see the pictures. What good is that going to do me? I got to go
Right.
experience it, right? So,
Hmm.
so I want to check some things out and figure out, what resorts have the accommodations that would be able to handle this sort of thing, because I foresee it being something that becomes pretty large. So
Mhm.
we will probably, find 3 or 4 resorts that work well and rotate between those.
Okay.
And what I would do is do one for, like, the reason I want to keep the choirs that are doing it in the same city is because then they can rehearse together for all the mass choir stuff that we do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we
Yeah.
do a Nashville one. Then I might go to Atlanta or Philly. Who knows?
Mhm. That would be great. That would be
Yeah.
really great. I mean, we're not as exotic as any of the islands, but
Well, see, what we do is we present what we've done with the Nashville choirs, where the Nashville choirs go to whatever island in the Caribbean, and then we've got some footage of that. Then we come back and show other people, hey, this is what we've done. Would you like to do this too? We can do
Mhm.
this in your city, and we can take you guys to the Caribbean.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
your people can come, and I want to make
Mhm.
it beneficial to everyone. So
Right.
we can do it as a
Right.
fundraiser for the churches involved or whatever needs to be done, then that's what we'll do.
And what about JM Cares?
JJM Cares. So you see a theme here. We've got JJM Travel and JJM Cares. I took my initials. I took my initials and the letter M, which stands for music or ministry.
Or ministry, yeah.
Yeah, both of those. And
Mhm.
so we've got JJM Travel and we've got JJM Cares. And JJM Cares is an organization that I am in the process of setting up, and I have already started using it to help blind people. Right now, we're doing one-on-one sessions.
Mhm.
They are 2-day sessions, and basically, what I'll do is I will have several conversations with the person that I'm helping.
Right.
They are invited right now to my house. We may decide to use hotel rooms and things like that in the future, but what we do is we focus on technology because I believe that is a strong building block to a blind person's success. And we're
Yeah.
not trying to make you a tech expert. That's not what we're trying to do in 2 days. But we take you and we say, okay, Lisa, so would you like to learn um, what technology is it that you're most interested in learning about? Do you like the iPhone?
Mhm.
Are
Mhm.
you wanting to learn JAWS? What is it that you feel like you're just not being able to get even a basic understanding of? And we work with that person. Somebody might want to learn a braille display that they just haven't been able to figure out on their own. So we work on that. And also, because a lot of the people that I have been helping in particular are newly blind, we find out some of the things that they feel like they are now unable to do anymore.
Mhm.
We think about, like, I had one young lady who wanted to know what it was like to go to a restaurant as a blind person by herself, and just not have anybody with her, and how would we handle that? So she and I took an
Mhm.
Uber and we went
Mhm.
to my favorite restaurant in the town where I was living at the time. And I believe we used like Uber Eats or something like that, or Ira. Maybe we used Ira.
Mhm.
But somehow I was able to bring that menu up, and we read that. I had my braille display, and so I was reading it to her, and we just had a great time. And then afterwards, I had to go to Target to get a new. I forget what kind of apply. I want to say like a blow dryer. It wasn't a curling iron because I
Mhm.
don't use those, so it was something like that. And so I had to go to Target to get that. And so my assistant picked us up from lunch, and we went to Target and got that, and she picked out something that she needed, and we just kind of made it a little bit of
Mhm.
a friend's day.
Mhm.
And it wasn't to say, hey, let's go practice mobility training and cross 6 lanes of busy traffic. It was
Right, right.
strictly, let's go have a good time because you're a person, and
Yeah.
you are loved, and you deserve to be able to do that, and to know that it's gonna look different. Things are gonna look different for you, but they
Mhm.
don't have to be hopeless.
The tip on using Uber Eats to pull up a menu is an outstanding tip, because sometimes the restaurant's website will not have a
Exactly.
menu on, or if they have the menu on, it's PDF as an image, so you
Yep.
still can't read it. So
Yep.
Uber Eats would be an easy way to get through a menu using voiceover and single finger swiping right just to go from one
Yeah.
item to the next. So that is an outstanding tip. So if you don't do that, I'm going to use that, because I know when I've been places and I've tried to use Seeing AI to read the menu to me, the restaurant was too noisy. At least when you're using your phone up to your ear, you can still hear it all the way through.
Correct.
But the technology, the iPhone, so many folks, especially those who go blind later in life, where they may not have technology skills, they
Yeah.
can still, with an iPhone, still communicate with all their friends, whether it's via text message or email. They could still go on the internet, even if they've never on the internet before. So that's something. It's funny that you mentioned that, because it would be a great thing if there is a way to get folks who maybe can't afford it, or maybe didn't even think about it because, again, they're older, to
Mhm.
get some sort of technology like an iPhone in their hands, even if it's an older version, where they can
Yeah.
at least go out and use Ira and use Seeing AI and all the other things that you can use with an iPhone to get involved and basically get back in the game and go and do things like go to a restaurant. Who pays when you have this client? So you spend 2 days with them. Who pays for that? How does that all work out?
So I'm still in the process of working this out. The few people that I've been helping have been out of my own pocket. Of course, you can't sustain an organization
Mhm,
like that. So
mhm,
I've actually been taking a class that was offered through a company called Include for blind
mhm,
people.
mhm, mhm.
I was put in touch with them at the NFB convention in July. There's so much you get
From idea to business.
from idea to business. Yes, ma'am.
Uh-huh. Mhm, mhm,
Yes, ma'am. And so I'm learning to put together a business plan so that I can get the funding that I really feel like I need to be able to do everything with it that I want to do. This is just the tip of the iceberg, what I'm telling you about right now. But I want to be able to do so much, and I want to provide sensitivity training and things like that to
mhm,
houses of worship, um, so that
mhm,
there's more of an understanding of blind folks who are attending and who want to
mhm.
attend. And because I believe those should be a safe place for everyone. And
So you're
I
looking
mean,
to for it to be more of a business than a nonprofit.
well, I guess, but I'm thinking nonprofit because
All
then
nonprofits are businesses.
yeah, they are, and I'm thinking that way I can get donations for this
Mhm,
and
mhm,
expand it. And my music could even play a part if I'm doing,
mhm,
if you see these concerts and they're sponsoring and they're very worthy cause, but they're talking about sponsoring children, maybe World Vision or Food for the Hungry. That's when I've been hearing a lot about, and they're great organizations. But
mhm,
so I'm like, well, why couldn't I do something similar with JJM Cares? And it's designed to help blind people to receive the technology, the training, the
mhm.
um, whatever it is that they need to be able to move forward and maybe get more extensive training.
I think what I like about that approach, Jana, is that one-on-one, which a lot
Yeah,
of agencies do provide, but let's face it, sometimes they are more effective when they can offer training to a group.
right.
It's just more of, more efficient use of, their staff's time
Yeah,
or whatever. But a lot of times you might have people, and they try their best, I'm sure, to make sure they group people according to whatever level,
yes,
wherever they are.
yes,
But even in that, you still, I personally really have found like I don't really fit in this group. And I really would benefit if I had that one-on-one, just me and that person, because it is going to be very different. You're going to have to clone yourself, but
yeah.
to get to
I
the
mean,
point where you can provide the one-on-one, I think is such a key kind of part of your business model. So I would
yeah.
say don't ever lose that part, that it
No,
is whatever the training is, that it's going to be provided as a one-on-one.
Yeah, what I would like to do is create a team because, of course, I'm going to have to clone myself,
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
to create a team and be as involved as I possibly can. Of course, I'll do as many of the one-on-ones as I can, but I can't be
Hmm.
everywhere. And it may be that one weekend I'm at a church working with someone, but also doing a concert and a presentation, creating awareness about what we're
Hmm.
doing while someone else is over here training someone on how to use the iPhone and showing them about all the different things that are available. Audio described movies. I had one lady who did not
Hmm.
even know there was such a thing. And
Wow.
so we watched an audio described movie. She had recently lost her sight and she was like, I keep having to ask people what's going on. And I said, well, let me show you something,
Hmm.
and so it's just, I just think everybody needs hope right now.
Yeah.
And I think when you have lost something like your vision, you just need a whole lot of it and a whole lot of
Hmm.
encouragement to know that life isn't over. It just begins with a tiny
Right.
step and then another one and then another one. And then before you know it, you're ready to take bigger steps.
Well, wish you all the best with that, however it fleshes out, however you structure it. But I think it sounds like you do have at least a very clear idea of what you want to provide and how you want to serve people. So that I think is what, because I was in that class too, and that's one of the most important first steps is you got to know what you want to do, what you
Yes.
want to do, and what you want to provide. So you're already on your way.
Yes.
Um, but we have to talk about, before we let you go, we have to talk about Dancing Dots
Yes.
Believe You Can 2022. Great to have you back again, Jana. Tell us, well, you don't have to tell us what you're doing. We'll keep that kind of under wraps, but talk about the experience last year and what you're looking forward to this year.
Last year was a lot of fun. And I was going through a lot last year and wasn't
Hmm.
able to use my gift as much as I wanted. My mom was on hospice. She has since
Yeah.
passed away. And
Hmm.
so it was a blessing to me just to be able to do something like this from my home. And even though I
Hmm.
didn't have an actual physical stage to be on, but it was a lot of fun. And I appreciated the way that you guys pulled that off. That's a huge undertaking. And
Yeah.
oh my
Tell us
word.
about it.
I I'm just I don't know if I have that kind of patience. You guys are amazing. I enjoyed it so much and I hope that I was able to. The real reason I do this is to use my music. I think I want to use everything I have, every gift I have to bring
Yeah.
encouragement and hope to people.
Hmm.
And so
Hmm.
that's the whole reason that I do any of these things. It's not about anything that I could win. I don't even go into it thinking
Hmm.
about that kind of thing. It's just,
Hmm.
this is an opportunity. And right now, I'm not able to be out singing as much because nobody's having a lot of artists in
Yeah.
to sing at things right now. It's just a difficult time
Right.
for an independent artist.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
just it's a blessing to me and hopefully to other people. That's why I do it. So it was just a blast. I had a blast doing it and enjoyed meeting you. That's how you and I met.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. That's right. And we're just so glad to have you back. And um, what's great about the talent show is that we have people like you who are professional, and this is not your first rodeo, but we also have some folks that just love to sing and
Yes.
want to express themselves and share their talent with the world. So thank you
Yeah.
for not counting it robbery, so to speak,
Oh my gosh, not at
that
all.
that
It's a
you're in
lot
our
of fun.
show.
Oh, it's a blessing. I'm thrilled, and I enjoyed hearing. I know that the if I remember correctly, wasn't the winner like 13 years old?
Yes.
Yes, yes, and she has since released her first album, right, David?
Yes,
Oh,
an EP.
that's awesome.
Before we move on, do you play any instruments? You've been talking about singing. Do you play instruments as well?
So I grew up playing the piano.
Mm,
I was classically trained at the school. I went to school at the Tennessee School for the Blind till my senior year. And so I grew up playing piano and did real well, but I didn't have the soul in my hands that I have in my voice. So I couldn't make it go together. Just not gifted in that area.
Yeah.
I can hear the chords, I'd be a good arranger, I think, but I just never could play and
Mhm.
sing at the same time. And so I let that go by the wayside, but I did. And then I also played the clarinet in the band growing up and
Mhm.
did real well with that as well. And of course, I couldn't do that and sing at the same time either. So it kind of had to go.
Now that would have been an act to watch
I know.
if you'd pulled that off.
That would need to be on America's Got Talent or
There you go.
something to do that.
So can I ask what happened that you didn't go through senior year to that Tennessee School for the Blind? Did you go
Sure.
to a regular high school at that point, or what happened?
I did. I did. I went to Beach High School. It's a small high school in Hendersonville, Tennessee. And well, I don't think it's as small now. I think it's gotten bigger. But and that was a wonderful experience for me. I would have gone my junior year. My parents didn't feel that it was a good idea. Um, because it was a brand new school when I went. So I was in the second graduating class.
Oh,
And
wow.
I guess what they were saying is I was too much for them for the first year. They
Yep.
so so yeah, but I loved it. I enjoyed I had a great experience and enjoyed the kids and the teachers and everybody. It was I won't say perfect. Everything has its drawbacks, but it was,
Yeah.
especially for back then, in 1981,
Mhm.
82.
Mhm.
I don't think I
Mhm.
could have asked for a better experience.
You talked about music from Nashville earlier. Am I correct in saying that maybe back when you were in high school, Nashville was pretty much, if you thought of Nashville, you thought about country. Today, it's not really,
Mhm.
today, it's everything.
It's
I hear
everything.
of bands, I love
Mm.
alternative music, and a
Yeah.
lot of bands are moving there. It just seems
Mm.
like a great place to be, whether you're any kind of musician or just like everything about it. It just seems like one of the places to be now.
Yeah, it's always been called Music City, but now it like really is. It's
Mhm.
just amazing to see that.
Well, Jana, again, a delight to talk to you. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. So looking forward to your performance at Believe You Can this year. We want to give you, of course, the opportunity to shout out how you can be reached,
Yeah.
whether it's through the travel business or your music. Where can people find your music? Whatever you want to kind of plug, go for it.
Okay. Well, you can find my music at janajackson.com. So how easy is that? That's JANA janajackson.com. You can also find out about my travel agency at Jjm Travel.com. And there's a form where you can request a quote if you want a trip, or you can it's got my contact info there. My email address for that is info@jjmtravel.com. I have a pretty large Facebook presence. I have my page, my personal page. I have my Jana Jackson as an artist. What do they call it? A band page or something like that. You
I'll
might
put a
get.
link in the show notes for this, so it'll link right
Yeah.
to it, so it'll go right there.
And then you know what? I'm also on Twitter, and
Mhm.
Twitter's been really great to me. I've had some really neat. I forgot to tell you about those opportunities, but that one is Jana Jackson 2010 on Twitter.
Do you want to talk about what's happening on Twitter?
I can tell you a little bit about what happened on Twitter
Sure.
because
Yeah, you
Twitter.
teased it. We got to know now.
Yeah.
I know. See, I shouldn't have done that. So a few years ago, I get this call, and it was a day that I was really feeling down about, what was my purpose and why am I even, still here? What am
Mm.
I supposed to be doing? We all have those days.
Oh, yes, that sounds so familiar.
So I get this email, actually it was, and it said, we're from the Oprah Winfrey Network, and someone told us about your music, and we'd like to find out more about you. Can you give us a call? And I'm thinking, this is a scam.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, I'm going to call and see who this really is. Y'all, it was the Oprah Winfrey Network, for real.
Oh my golly.
And what had happened, I had made friends with a gentleman by the name of T.D. Jakes.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
T.D. Jakes is an incredible speaker,
mhm,
motivational, and he also is a pastor of a thriving church in Dallas called the Potter's House. Very, very
mhm.
well known. And we had become friends on Twitter, and I had, in sharing his, just sharing with each other the way that friends do, I had mentioned that I was blind. I don't even know how it came up. And at that point, he
Mhm.
already knew that I was doing all this stuff. I was singing in my church choir at the time, and I was traveling at the time, and, doing all this. So he just, mentioned me in a sermon. No PK that I know likes to be mentioned in a sermon. But he mentioned me in a sermon and was talking about that friendship, and Oprah happened to be visiting there that day, is my understanding, something. And she heard that story and thought that it would be great to feature that on her show. At the time, she had a show called Oprah's Life Class.
Uh-huh.
So they invited me to Toronto, Ontario, Canada, for the finale of that season. It was a two-part finale,
Mhm.
and it was just a blast. I had so much fun. Of course, I got to meet Bishop Jakes and
Mhm.
Oprah and Iyanla Van Zant, who I just have always loved.
Oh my goodness. How did we not talk about this earlier? That was, now what year was that, Jana?
That was in 2012, I believe it was. So this is a
Okay.
10-year anniversary.
Wow, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it all began with a tweet.
It all began with a tweet. Yes. It actually, you know what he's told me is that it all began with something that I had no idea was even getting to him. And I had
Mhm.
reached out on Facebook. He had mentioned something about, it was like 4th of July or something. And he was wanting to know how people celebrated their holidays. And so I was
Mhm.
talking about my uncle, who at the time had these incredible 4th of July parties at his house. He and my cousin and my aunt at the time, they would have these incredible barbecues, and it was like a country music who's who. And it was just a little bit of Americana. They did all of the concessions, still do, for a lot of the major old country acts, some of the newer ones too. But at the time, it was like the Oak Ridge Boys and people
Mm.
like that, and they would come to these parties, and it was so much fun. And so I was just telling him about that, and then I started writing something from my heart that I don't even know what I wrote. I haven't been able to find it since. I have no idea, but it really, whatever I said, he really appreciated it. And so one night he saw a tweet of mine, and so he reached out to me on Twitter and was like, I told God I wanted to thank you for that. And I was like, really? What did
Oh
I do?
my gosh. Wow. That is an incredible story. Certainly a lot of inspiration here, a lot of encouragement. I hope people could get a couple of things out of our conversation is that, like David said, we really like to show blind people, visually impaired people, still being very much independent, still thriving, and still enjoying life. So thank you for providing another great example of that. And then we're not even pigeonholed. I mean, you're performing in circles outside of the blind community. You're hobnobbing with the best of them, and you don't have to be just kind of in that box of just being sort of famous in the blind or disabled community, which is fine. There's nothing
Sure.
wrong with that, but there
Absolutely.
there are opportunities outside of that. And so I just hope people realize that they don't have to get stuck in a certain mold if they don't want to.
Bloom where you're planted. That would be my little advice. Bloom where you're planted, you know.
Thank you, Jana. We'll see you on October 15th.
I'll be there. Love you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks again to Jana for stopping by and telling us all about the crazy amounts of things that she's doing, both musically, travel related, as well as helping blind folks. And so many good things she's doing, Lisa.
Yeah, and I just hope, as I said, that people are inspired, encouraged to whatever your gift talent is, there is room for you to grow that and share that. In fact, it's needed. So thank you, Jana, for being an inspiration.
And really just being independent, like she was saying about going to Canada when she was younger. And sometimes you just have to take a chance and step out of that comfort zone and do something like that. And it might be something small at the beginning, but give it a try. And then you can build on that as time goes on.
We have some performers that we're sharing little clips from.
Right. As we're doing sound checks with performers from Dancing Dots Presents Believe You Can 2022, we've asked them to tell us why they want to perform in the show and how they have come into the certain talent that they have. So here's a couple of the performers coming up on October 15th for Dancing Dots Presents Believe You Can 2022.
Hi, my name is Julia Legrand, and I am a member of the Performing Arts Division, and I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I am playing the last movement, the Presto, from J.S. Bach's Sonata No. 1 in G minor for solo violin. I have been playing the violin since I was 5 years old, and I'm now 18, which I guess means I've been playing the violin for 13 years. I love playing the violin, and even more I love performing because it gives me such an exciting way to connect with all kinds of people. And I am so excited to perform in the Believe You Can talent show because it gives me another opportunity just for connection and expression. I chose this piece because it's particularly nice when you need something short and sort of easy to connect with for anyone. It's not too intellectual or complex. Even though it's beautiful and complicated, it's also just digestible and, more to the point, it's fun.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am Maxwell Ivy. I'm known around the world as the blind blogger. I'm from the city of Houston in the great state of Texas. I have always loved to sing. My dad's family is from South Carolina. Pretty much everybody in the family can sing or play a musical instrument. However, about the time I was 11, 12, 13 years old, I started losing my vision. And my voice also started changing. And between the two, people made fun of my voice. So for a while, I wouldn't sing anywhere where anybody could hear me. And then about 9 years ago, I wanted to record a video and I needed an intro. So I decided, okay, I'm going to sing because I love to sing. And I recorded a little bit of Nat King Cole's A Christmas Carol. People said I did good. They liked it. They wanted me to share more of my voice. So I started doing covers. I started singing on my podcast when I give public talks. And I also started writing and recording my own music. And I do this because I love it. And I also do it because it scares the heck out of me. And I want other people to think, hey, even though it scares me, I'm still going to do it anyway. And, you know, I haven't ever been in a singing contest before, but I'm looking forward to this because no matter what, I'm going to challenge some people to overcome their fears. Even if somebody else walks off with all the money, I'm still going to be the happiest person there.
Hi, this is Esther Gilliard from the Keystone Chapter. I have been singing since forever, since I was a little kid, being on the choir at Deliverance Evangelist Church. And I just wanted to be a part of the talent show because I wanted to prove that it doesn't matter what type of vision you have, that you can still be awesome.
Hello, everybody. This is Boney Fingers, better known to some as Rob Tabor from Kansas. I have been interested in music all my life. In fact, I think I would call myself a music aficionado, really. And although I took piano lessons as a kid, I don't think they were very profitable. But several years ago, I began performing in a band that was called Volition. and I was playing keyboard at that time, and I certainly knew I needed to improve my keyboarding skills. So I contacted a good friend of mine who was a local area musician, and he and I have been getting together weekly ever since and teaching me music lessons, music concepts, and all that kind of thing. And I have done some performing at various places, including some of the NFB state affiliate conventions in Kansas, where I would join the band for a number or two, and that was a lot of fun. This is my second year in the Believe You Can talent show. I had a lot of fun last year and look forward to having a lot of fun this year as well. Today, or when we have the show at October 15th at 8 o'clock Eastern Time, I invite you to tune in, and you can hear me play and sing A Whiter Shade of Pale, originally recorded back in 1967 by Procol Harum. Hope you enjoy it.
Hello, I'm Jörgen Hansson, all the way from Sweden. My journey into music has been started since I was a baby. I got my first toy organ when I was about 2 years old and started to play around with that. I've been musically responsive to rhythm, and it's a long story, but I also like to sing and just play, like on the piano here. Like that. This is my first American talent show this year, actually, for the blind. I've been to talent shows long before, but that was here in Sweden though. And but the most exciting talent show I've been visiting was actually Sweden's Got Talent in Stockholm. After that, I became a semi-finalist. This time is going to be my first time doing it for a whole American audience, and I hope everybody is going to be listening.
Hi, this is Christine from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. I have been singing since I was like 3 years old. I've been playing the piano since I was 4, though I do that mostly with improvisation. I am classically trained in vocals, which means that I can sing classical music, and I was trained in that. And I was a church music director for a couple of years, from 2017 to 2019. I've performed in various talent shows, school plays, musicals, and church functions. And I absolutely love performing. I love bringing healing to people through my music, and I am very much looking forward to doing this talent show to show my music off and to bring comfort to others.
Hi, this is Brandon from Johnstown, Pennsylvania. So I started playing the piano when I was 5 years old, and I've been classically trained for the last about 29 years. And I studied classical music performance a bit in college, and now I just like to do it for fun. So I'm looking forward to doing this talent show just to play something that I enjoy and to show what I've been working on.
Hello, this is Jessica from Bowen Island, British Columbia, Canada.
Hello, I'm Jocelyn from Bowen Island, British Columbia, Canada.
Hi, my name is Masha Sten Clanton. I live in Boston, Massachusetts, and I'm in the Cambridge chapter of the NFB.
Hi, this is Simon Bonifant. I am president of the Pennsylvania Association of Blind Students. I am very happy to be a part of the 3rd annual Believe You Can talent show.
So there's just a few of the performers that are coming to Dancing Dots Presents Believe You Can 2022, hosted by the Keystone chapter of the National Federation of the Blind of Pennsylvania. And when you put it all together, that does sound like a mouthful. But please join us on the 15th of October at 8 p.m. You can go to BelieveYouCan.live/tickets to purchase tickets. There's a $10 ticket for individuals, a $25 ticket for watch party tickets if you've got 3 or more folks. And we'd really love to see you there. Lisa and I will be hosting, and you know that we're pretty good at hosting things at this point, 46 episodes, 47 episodes in. But please reach out also.
A little bit of experience.
Please reach out to us. Jana gave us a great tip in there about using the Uber Eats menu if you're in a restaurant because that's going to be the most accessible. And what a great tip that is. Maybe you have a tip that might help other folks out. Please reach out to us, 267-338-4495. You have up to 3 minutes. Leave us your tip, your question, your comment, your review, something else you'd like to see on the show, and we will include it in an upcoming podcast episode. We would love to hear from you. Please also leave your name and town if you do leave a message. Again, 267-338-4495.
And if for whatever reason that's still not enough time, you have more to say, there's always email. So you can email us at whitecanesconnect@gmail.com.
Lisa, it was a great episode. It was great to hear from Jana.
Yeah. Thank you, David. And take care, everybody.
Thanks for listening, everyone.